You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso & Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
Welcome to Fitness Friday, Dave, and it's an exciting day to be out and around. Did you have a good Father's Day weekend last weekend?
Great weekend.
I had a wonderful time. I got to buy my daughter's lunch, and then I got to cook for him at night.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
But my 20-year-old saved the day. She called me on Monday and said, "Hey, Dad, I didn't get to take you out for lunch for your Father's Day.
Yeah.
How about we meet at Chipotle's and have lunch?" So we did.
There you go.
So I made it up. I got one out of two.
You can't beat that. Yeah. No, we had a nice time too with the children and the grandchildren.
Yeah. Well, we're rapidly approaching the July 4th time and the big race and stuff like that. But Dave, we know that physical fitness is important to our health and well-being. Mm-hmm. However, fitting fitness is into the program seems to be real difficult for most people. So we need to learn how to make it convenient so we can actually do it. Because I'm finding that even when we offer programs at Bodez that say, listen, we can get you in and out of the door in 15 to 20 minutes, it seems like people are so busy that they get mentally. This week I had 3, businessmen kind of people that work in our one-on-one program, and 2 in our appointment with fitness program. Call in and say, hey, I can't make my appointment today. I got so much going on. And it was a little bit of a labor, and we sort of imposed on them a little bit, staying after them to get in and work out. Every one of the 5 people that happened to, Dave, when they came in, they said, I really didn't want to come in today. I really didn't want to come in, but you know what? I'm so glad that it is. If you would have interviewed me when I first came in, I'd have been, I don't know what I'm doing here. I got so much to do. But you know what? Now I'm energized, and here's why. It's that when we get into that program and we're working out, you're relieving the stress pattern. Stress makes you mentally tired.
I know.
So what happens is when you get in, what happens is you can get some exercise, change the endorphin level, change the hormonal cycle that's going on. And let's remember this. I'm working on a 5-point, I call it the shocker details. It's sort of like 5 things that are going to shock people to hear. And the reason I don't want to lay them out right now for you is because we have 3 guests hopefully calling the show today. That's number 1 reason. Number 2 reason is because I want to give an explanation to each one of them, because I want to explain why I'm going to make a statement like high cholesterol doesn't cause heart attacks. People are going to go, what? That's my doctor told me this. Yeah. And I want to educate people to what inflammation does. Well, this whole inflammation process that the body goes through is what causes us to get tired. It causes us to get frustrated. It causes us to really wonder if anything we're doing. It gives you the mind fog. The first thing I try to do, and let me go back to those 5 people that said they didn't have time and couldn't get in. Right. And I made this promise to them. I said, I promise you that when you walk in the door, we will have your card pulled and ready for you. Mm-hmm. I promise you that you will be done with your exercise program in 12 minutes. Okay? Every one of them had a great workout. And I said, now listen, we're going to work a little harder than we would normally do, and we're not going to talk as much as we normally do, because I want you to get a benefit out of this. And that benefit I wanted them to get, Dave, is I wanted them to stimulate those muscles to get some of the blood sugar that they may have had left over from either a stressful situation or eating too much lunch or maybe having a cocktail at lunch. Right. I wanted to get that out of their system, because that high blood sugar starts to make you a little woozy. You start to get tired. You want to go get some sleep. We don't think of it when they're like a kid on a sugar high. So when they worked out, you could see the blood flow to their skin. They came in maybe because they'd had a stressful day. You could see the sort of grayish tint to their skin. And so, when you worked and you got that blood flowing on that peripheral side, now they felt energized. Mm-hmm. Also, because 4 of the minutes were comprised with a burst training program, they now had more oxygen going to the brain. And so now that little stopper of mind fog that they had, we'd started to reverse that. So I want to encourage people, keep in mind that all physical activity is not a formal exercise program, but it can add up to a healthier you. So I have a few little hints to try and help people during this time of the year when we seem to be stressed out, we seem to be hectic. You know, the kids are coming home, we're adapting to a new schedule. Here's 5 little quick points. Number 1, wake up early. Get up 30 minutes earlier and take a walk or use a treadmill. That's a fun thing to do that doesn't take much. And while you take that walk, take little intervals of it where you say, I'm going to go faster for this 30 seconds or for this 1 minute, I'm going to pick up my pace. Number 2, do some chores. Scrub the bathtub, mop the floor, or do other housekeeping chores. And these activities equate to some physical activity. Now, they're not exercise in the terms of how it is going to change your body, okay? But they cause change and stimulation to the body to be physically active and use some of the energy you have. Be active while watching TV. Yes, it can be done. Listen, you know, when I was in college, my buddies and I would watch TV in the evening, you know, after we'd studied all day. And I even did this in when I was, you know, first married and stuff. And I started to do it with my kids. And we would watch TV. And during the commercial, we would see how many push-ups, sit-ups, and squats we could do. And then we started to play a game with cards. We would pull a card, and if it was a 3, you had to do 3 push-ups. And I pulled a card, it was 5. I'd have to do 5. So now you can take in the number 4 thing I have, which is involve your family. Do little things like that. Go play catch. Take a group walk. Ride a bike together. And here's one that's probably the easiest one to do. Instead of just letting the dog out to go to the bathroom, walk the dog. Take the dog on a walk. Get active. You can't walk a cat, but you can walk a dog. You know, can't walk a hamster, but you can walk a dog. In fact, you walk your hamster, it's probably going to be eaten by a dog that's getting walked by someone else.
Oh, no.
So anyway, so I just wanted to throw those little things out. I want to remind you, make some time for some intense physical exercise. Those 12-minute routines we did with those people that didn't want to come in that day. Again, remember, they said, every one of them to a person said, I didn't want to come today. If you would have interviewed me when I walked in, I would have told you this is the most miserable thing I'm going to do. And when they walked out, they said, I feel so much better because I came in and worked out. And remember the shortness of it. It was 6 strength training exercises that lasted about a minute to a minute and 30 seconds. And it was 4 minutes on a bike where they had these huge bursts that they did for 12 seconds. So they warmed up for a minute and a half, did a 12-second burst. Went another minute and a half, 12-second burst, and they were done. So we can affect your fitness that quickly. That being said, I want to remind people that we have the Summer Hot Bodies program going on, and I've put a new innovation on it. You know, some of the people came in and said, you know, that's a lot of money to pay for 3 months because I can join Planet Fitness for $10, and I can join this place for $5, and all this stuff. Well, here's what Bodez is going to do. I have taken the program, the same stipulations that we have. It's a 3-month membership. It's no long-term commitment unless you desire to make it a long-term commitment. It gives you that short introduction to what we do fitness-wise, this difference, what we call the Bodez difference. And now you can start your membership today for $5. On July 10th, August 10th, and September 10th, you'll pay $39.50, which is below our normal fees for membership. You will have use of our club till October the 10th. So it's a $5 fee to start. We have a little $20 card fee, so your little access card, so we know when you're coming, so we can follow up on you with it gets you our appointment with fitness, the fitness on demand, and it'll be $39.50 for our Bodez Coach membership. That's our supervised exercise program. Now, that's a significant savings over our normal membership. But it's July, August, and September. We want to introduce you 3 months, no long-term commitment. So call Bodez today at 672-6464. And I want to welcome one of our members is Skip Rowley. Skip, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome.
How are you
Hello,
doing?
Tasso.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, and partly thanks to you, by the way. Thanks to having Bodez so close to where I live, because I agree with you totally about you, even when you feel like you don't want to do it, you've got to go do it. And I do that, and I feel better, and I'm healthier. And Florida Healthcare, you talked about the money people are spending. Florida Healthcare provides this wonderful program. I don't pay anything. And so I find this is a terrific idea to keep people in shape so that later on they're healthier and don't cost Florida Healthcare so much.
Well, and you know that, Florida Healthcare is a HMO, is a health maintenance organization. So, they have to be concerned in healthcare and not sick care, because that's going to save them dollars. Because when we're trying to reverse disease and save people with traumatic type of things, what we do is spend an awful lot of money for that science and for that medicine and that type of thing. But the things you're doing and your wife is doing, Skip, gets you involved in the program. And, this is a little premature. It'll be about another 2 weeks before it's actually enacted. By July 1st, we should be clear with this. But not only are we going to be a Florida healthcare provider, we are now going to be a Silver Sneakers provider. We have worked ardently the last year and a half to get involved with the Silver Sneakers program. And so we're now going to be able to service Silver Sneakers. We have a bunch of Blue Cross Blue Shield plans that we service, and we're servicing our Florida Healthcare, which is our original HMO that we were working with. And so we're going to be providing those members with services as well in the same situation that you have. Our Bodez Express membership at no fee, an easy upgrade if they want more service. It's an easy upgrade program that we have. But I asked you to join me today because you're sort of like I am. You're a local hometown boy. You were born in Daytona, correct?
No, I wasn't. I was born in Miami, but I came here very early. I came to Ormond when I was 8 years old, and I grew up here and knew that I was in one of the best places I could be, even when I was 8 years old. So I stayed here most of my life.
Well, you just wrote a really neat book. It's called Ormond Boy, I believe is the full name of it, correct?
Ormond Boy, a mid-century memoir. It's about what it was like here in the late 40s and early 50s and somewhat in the 60s, too, yeah. I did. And it's not just about me, and it's not about my family or anything like that. It's just what it was like. It's just what it was like anywhere on the east coast of Florida, really. But Ormond was a kind of special place. And as I said, I realized it even when I was young. So I started to think about this because I was writing articles about some things going on when I was a kid for the Halifax Herald, and someone said, well, you should write a book. And so I began to put down on the articles from Ormond Boy. Of course, I hadn't written it. So eventually I figured I better really write the book because I said that I had a book. So now I have it, and it's out, and people seem to enjoy it, yes.
And what was really great is, Hank Coleman, who's one of my one-on-one members, and his family was very instrumental in the Sun Trust banking that exists in this area. They started as a little community bank and grew into Sun Bank, then Sun Trust. Hank was telling me one day he saw that book and he says, "Is that the guy Skip? Is that the guy that had a really good curveball that played for Mainland High School?" He said, because he said that your group and his group in like 56 or 57 were the first Mainland Seabreeze matchups to be able to play again and compete to the modern day era that we now have of Mainland and Seabreeze competing. And you and Ed Dunn, how about that for a lineage at Mainland High School? You and Ed Dunn, our former senator, were the pitchers of that Mainland team back then.
That's right. Yes, Ed was faster pitcher, but I had the curveball, and that's right. I played first base when I didn't pitch, and that's right. Seabreeze and Mainland did not play each other because they were meeting on the bridge, I think, and throwing stuff at each other, fighting after games. So they stopped all sports really between them. But in 1956, I believe it was 56, yes, that's when they started with baseball and track, and we actually played the first game because it was a big deal at City Island, and we played 2 or 3 games at Seabreeze against Mainland. Mainland won, by the way. Not all the time.
Nice plug there. So, well,
anyway,
and people
yes,
don't.
And Hank, I remember he came in and talked to me at the gym, and so it's good to see him.
Yeah, I know he's really enjoyed your book, and a lot of our members have purchased the book, and people. I know we have the book for purchase at Bodez, but is there anywhere else that they can get the book? As we talk about
it.
Yes,
the Ormond Beach Historical Society at 38 East Granada, over by not far from Billy's, at McDonald's house over there.
Right. Okay.
And that's where I thought I didn't do this to make money. That's where I thought would help them too. So they have it there, and at the Halifax Historical Society on Beach Street, the old bank on Beach Street,
right,
has the book. There's a gift shop in Flagler that has the book as well. But I'm not going to put it online. People say, put it online, and I went on to Amazon and got discouraged. I didn't want to do it. It's too much hassle. So it's a local book. It's for people who want to know, if they didn't grow up here, they want to know what it was like, and they enjoy Ormond now, but it just gives them some comparison. And then for people who grew up here, it's a memory. Some people have told me it's like you're talking to me, and I remember these things, bringing back all of these memories. And I think that's part of it. It isn't all good news. There were some things back then that weren't good, of course, but anyway, but it's that kind of memoir. I don't even come off very well in the book when I'm honest with myself. So I hope people do get it and enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, we tend to think of Ormond Beach as the birthplace of speed, and I remember the Green Monster and the Bluebird. And I remember my brother taking me to see that in the Museum of Speed, and and we see these commercials these days where all that stuff sort of goes on at the Utah Salt Flats. But there's some other pretty cool stuff that you have in there. The one thing like Lurch from the Addams Family.
Oh yeah. I was. There's a float stand down off Cardinal Drive. I worked in a float stand for a while, and Andy Romano was the captain then of the lifeguards. And so there's a picture in the book of the Ormond lifeguards, only 8 of them in the picture, and there's Lurch standing next to Andy Romano, and people start, when they see the book, they say, "He looks familiar." Yeah, that was Lurch, and I used to hang around the station, so I would see him. But he was a voice major at Stetson, a basketball player, but he was really a voice major. I don't know exactly how he got involved in television, but it was quite interesting. Yes.
Well, I yesterday I was doing some reminiscing with my staff on Wednesday night. I said, I'm going to have a little fun with them today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show them commercials that Nautilus made back in the 70s when they were located over in Lake Helen, Florida. And so I got these commercials, and most of them are done on the beach here in Daytona. And, they're showing, and it was really funny to look back on them. But you think about it, in the days when in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, when Arthur was over in Lake Helen, you could go any day down to the band show on the weekend, and you'd see some of the world's greatest bodybuilders, Sergio Oliva, Boyer Coe, Casey Veeder, were at the beach just sort of hanging out kind of thing. It was sort of like we had the makings to make it a Venice Beach, Muscle Beach. But in your book, you talk about some other things. What are give us 3 highlights from the book that people may go, wow, that's sort of cool, I identify with that, or I didn't know that about Ormond Beach that you wrote in there as you talked about it.
Well, this was back in the time now. There's a big issue now, by the way. I was just listening to WNDB a while ago about talking about cars on the beach and the issues that have come up now with the building of new condos where we're going to park. Well, in those days, you first of all, you drive all day. You could drive at night. And you could drive all the way from, you could go even north of Grenada on the beach as long as it was low tide, and you could drive all the way to Ponce Inlet at night if you wished. So in a way that was nice, but again, someone just mentioned this, and I don't know about the facts, but evidently the tide is not, this beach is not as wide as it used to be. So back then it seemed wider to me. Now that you think about it, so you could drive all the way down, and we just had a lot of fun just driving all the way down to the beach and go to the boardwalk, and we'd stop there, and then we'd come back. So that was certainly a great part of it, I think. There was no charge to go on the beach. It was you moved down and parked, and there were not as many people, obviously. And there was a gap, for example. Another thing I liked about it, there was a gap between Ormond and Daytona before Bel Air Plaza and all that was built. All that was just dunes and palmettos and things like that. So there were these, I guess because there were just a lot fewer people, it just seemed like you had more access to things. Not that, again, it's bad to have, tourists coming and so on, but right. There was driving on the beach at night, and then you could drive all the way. There were no blocks where you had to get off the beach and then come back, as there is now. I don't know how I feel about this yet, because that's a big issue that's still being debated. But anyway, that was one of the good things too. Now I've got to again, this is not all good news, because when I played, I grew up in a trailer park down here, and there was some woods between the trailer park and Lincoln Avenue, which was a black section, and I had black friends, and of course they were not allowed on the peninsula, and they, some of them, believe it or not, had never seen the ocean. And I could ride my bike and go right across the old wooden bridge, and it was fine. So again, good news, of course, and bad news as well. But it was, but what I said earlier was, I just realized what a wonderful place it was to be, and that's true. So that's,
I remember Skip. I remember when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and I remember we had a lady that worked for my mom at her restaurant, which is down at, and you talk about the development of the beach. This is in '64, early to mid '60s. you could drive to the end of what is now called International Boulevard. It was Broadway is what we called it. But you could drive all the way to the end of Broadway, and on either side of my mom's restaurant there were empty lots. And my friends and I from Lenox Elementary School, which no longer is there, we used to go and play war and dig little forts and everything in those sand dunes over there. Today you couldn't do that because they say you're destroying the environment kind of deal. And so
I remember too, along that same road. Speaking of which, I do write about in the book about the old drive-in restaurants back in the 50s. The happy days.
Yeah, the Stansfields and
drive-in was there. That was another great thing. You drove over to Stansfields, and that was for Seabreeze kids. Mainland kids went to the Varsity Drive-in over on US 1, and that was the old drive-in era, and it was wonderful. You cruised around. That's what you do. You cruised around the drive-in just like you cruised on the beach. So. Anyway, that was part of, I remember Broadway, of course, yeah.
And continuing with that cruising concept, is I remember that we had, if you see the movie American Graffiti, it was like, it was like that. And I remember cruising around, and WMFJ was the radio station. It was over on the turn there, next to Bethune Point. And we would drive over there. I think it's W. What's that station now? Is it W? Oh, it's not even there anymore. WROD used to be there.
Bethune Point. You mean down at Wilder Boulevard?
Yeah, yeah. That on that little turn there, it used to be
WMFJ,
and you would go there to see the DJ. The DJs were a big deal, kind of deal, and they were playing the music.
One of the radio stations actually had, that tunnel you go through at the Seabreeze.
Yeah, wasn't that NDB that did that? That was when the News Journal owned it.
Really?
When you went underneath the plaza.
Before my time, but yeah, the radio station was right there.
Yeah, I remember going through that. And by the way, I do mention the book. One thing that happened when I was about 16, we're driving around, and it's for some reason up late, about 1 o'clock in the morning. We picked up this FM station, WLAC, out of Gallatin, Tennessee.
Nashville, yeah.
And you could pick that up at night, and it was the first time we heard the kind of rhythm and blues. Like they didn't play it on the local stations here. And so you heard this kind of strange black, Jimmy Reed, that you got me running, all that.
I think they call it beach music, right?
I never forgot that. That was the first time I heard something like that. And you had to stay up late, and it came in clear. I don't know why we got it so well, but I don't know if y'all remember that or not.
Yeah, I used to get places
from Nashville and Gallatin, Tennessee.
Yeah, and I used to get from Texas. I used to get those people as well, because and someone told me one time it was because of the ocean and the Halifax River. The water would conduct the signal, and they would boost their signal like to 100,000 watts, and it would go from at that time. So it was pretty cool from that standpoint. It was neat to grow up. Well, Skip, I want to once again tell people how to get the book, and so they can come in and get it at Bodez or go to the other locations that you have available for it. I think it's a really neat read. Everybody that's bought it at the club comes back and says, "Hey, can I meet hey, can I meet the guy that wrote that book? Because that's a sort of cool book."
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've gotten, as I said, I guess it's a compliment, but a friend of mine told another friend, said, well, it's like Skip is talking to me, and I hope people realize that takes a lot of work to make it feel like it just flows with talking to you, and that's the atmosphere of the book, and so I think that's what people find the readable. They can read it in an hour and a half if they felt down, sit down, and look at it. But anyway, it's over at the Ormond Historical Society as well as at Bodez, and at the Halifax Historical on Beach Street, which is the old bank building. Speaking of which, one of the nice things out there, the old downtown Daytona, which was where everybody went before they built the malls and everything went westward and so on. So I really enjoyed going down.
You remember the Sears and Roebuck? I didn't
realize. By the way, I sat on a tower as a lifeguard with Ty Cobb's grandson.
Yeah.
Ty. We called him Ty.
Yeah.
And Ty was a Norman lifeguard, and he worked at Dunn Brothers Hardware later. And then it turned tragic, and for some reason he killed himself. I don't know why.
Well, Ty
Cobb's grandson was what I sat on the tower with him.
Yeah, Ty Cobb.
As a lifeguard. Yeah.
Ty Cobb.
Anyway, that's where it can be bought, and I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, Ty Cobb, the grandson, was the first guy I ever saw bench press 400 pounds. He used to work out with my brother.
He was a remarkable athlete,
and
a very nice guy. I don't like his grandfather. Never did like Ty Cobb as a person, but what I could read about him. But Ty was a really nice young man and a very good athlete. Yes.
And his brother Charlie is still very active in the New Smyrna community. Great guy, great sense of humor, great guy. Skip, I appreciate it. We have a beautiful segue for this because I've got Linda on the phone for the Daytona Diner, and they're actually reopening that, which has a lot of history to it, and actually going to a fairly historical place. Linda, welcome to Fitness Friday with us on WNDB. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Well, I'm excited for you. I have some friends involved with you, so I got the opportunity to call you yesterday and talk to you because they said you're reopening. And I remember, now you've only owned the Daytona Diner for about 6 years now, so I don't know how much of this history you're a part of, but I remember when the Daytona Diner first opened at the Harley shop on Beach Street. You would go in there, and there were the two girls, and they would scream back and forth the odd orders, and food was flying around the place. It was a real fun place to do. But you've had a friend of mine, Stacia Schuster, that did some remodeling, and you guys are now located in a relatively historical place down at the Castaways, what I know is the Castaways Motel. It's now called the Castaway Condos in Daytona Beach Shores. Tell us a little bit about your re-grand opening that you have coming up on the 27th and 28th.
Wow, it's going to be really good. We're actually on the 26th. We're having our ribbon cutting with the Daytona Beach Chamber of Commerce. That's going to be at 12 o'clock. That's Thursday, the 26th. And then on Saturday, the 28th, that's the big day. We're having like our grand reopening. And we have it's going to be a lot of fun. We open at 7. And at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a pancake eating contest. And the winner gets $50 cash.
Right.
And then we have door prizes we're giving out throughout the day. And we also have at 10 o'clock, we have Betty Boop that we hired from Universal Studios. She'll be here to greet the customers and to do pictures. And we also have one of the local artists, Meredith Walker. She'll be singing here, and she'll be here from 11 to 1. And then we also have Elvis, an Elvis impersonator, from Jacksonville.
Right.
And his name is Randy Elvis Walker, and he's awesome. He will be here from 12 to 2, and he'll be singing and entertaining the guests. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we hope everyone can come down and check it out. And you had mentioned Stacia Schuster had designed the diner, and we are a unique 50s diner. I mean, right down to the stainless steel, the glass block, the colors. We have a lot of Betty Boop in here, along with some, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe pictures, and it's just it's a very unique place. People walk in and they go, "Wow, this is great." So yeah, I hope everyone can come in, and we're going to start some new memories here at the diner.
Well, the diner is now located at 2043 South Atlantic Boulevard, and that's down in Daytona Beach Shores, and I'm pretty familiar with that area. People that don't know exactly where that's at, if they come over the Silver Beach Bridge and they head south, it'll be on your left-hand side after you go by that one traffic light that's at Bodez, and it'll be on the left-hand side. It'll be in the old Castaways Motel, which is now called the Castaway Condos. The actual address is 2043 South Atlantic. Back in the day, I didn't get a chance to talk to Skip about this, but he was talking with his book, Ormond Boy of Midlife Memoirs. There's an awful lot of history at that Castaway. There were a lot of history from NASCAR is there, and then also I remember TV shows that came to Daytona in the 50s and 60s had cameo scenes at the Castaway. So it's sort of a neat history that you're bringing a 50s style diner back into that. And now, so people that know, just a few little things. You've got the same chef there that you've always had with Joe Wilms, and
Joe Wilms, and
yeah.
He's been with us for 17 years. And everyone knows, and they might not know him by name, but they know what he looks like. And he's been with us for 17 years, and he's awesome. He's the best cook that I know of. And he's been a great employee, and we're just so happy to have him and have him back here. And he has some pretty famous dishes, like his omelets they're the fluffy omelets, and you know what? You can't really even get those anyplace anymore.
Right.
They're just like big, fluffy omelets, and we also do plate-sized pancakes. And he's just, he's a great cook, and he can cook your eggs any way you like. You know, I know people come in here, and that's what they say. They go to a lot of places, and they ask for their eggs a certain way, but Joe can actually come through.
Well,
Yep.
you know, you're open. I want to give some people some details on the Daytona Diner. You're open from 7 to 3. You do serve breakfast all day long, and they start lunch at 11, correct?
That's correct.
So I
Yeah.
want people to know that, because a lot of people get up late and want to go to breakfast, and even if they go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, they can't get what they want because they close it down and go exclusively to a lunch menu. And, you know, that's sort of that assembly line. But, you know, I don't know Joe. I've never seen Joe, but I would bet he's like the grill cooks that my mom used to have in her restaurant. You know, these people are artists when they're working the grill. It's like I used to work next to a lady at my mom's restaurant named Gladys, and she actually had 2 grills, and we weren't too far away from where you're located. We were at 2006 South Atlantic. And I remember we would go through 120 dozen eggs on July 4th before the races. Back then you would open up at 5 in the morning, and the race car drivers would stop in and eat on the way to the track, and the fans would come in and eat before they went to the track. And I remember working next to this lady, Gladys, and she would have all the tickets in front of her. And, man, she would put those plates out. And here I was. My job was to cook the bacon, the sausage, and the pancakes. That's all I had to do. And I couldn't keep up with this lady, keeping up with 20, 30 tickets at a time, you know. And then she's yelling to the girls, you know, we need to pick this up. You need to move faster with that. So it was a crank it out kind of business, and it was really neat to be part of it. And I'm sure that people can see some of that there. And
absolutely. And, you know, when you were talking about the chef, that's the way Joe is. He's, like, so calm when he's back there. And, you know, for him, it's all about presentation. So he, like, calmly, you know, he designs your plate, and the same thing with him. He can have 20 tickets in front of him, and it's like he's just, like, in his mind, you know, he's doing one thing, and then when he's all done, it's like all done, and every plate looks great.
yeah.
And it really is. It does take a talent. Joe has been cooking since he was 16 years old.
Right.
So he's been cooking a long time, flipping eggs, and it's good. You know, when you have a restaurant, you have to have a good cook.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have someone you can depend on. And Joe has never missed a day of work, believe it or not.
That's
17
awesome.
years.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Listen, I remember that life of running that diner style restaurant with my mom, and, you know, it was just it's a lot of fun to have grown up. It taught you a lot of life lessons, because, you know, a lot of my customer service stuff I do at the club, it was, you know, I remember my mom telling me, you know, when you take cash, make sure you talk to the people, make sure you thank them for being here and invite them to come back. And, you know, I went through the whole thing. I was a bus boy, and then we had a fella that was an old retired Navy cook. And he was really good on the grill, and he's the one that taught me the grill. You know, he taught me how to work on the grill. And he also taught me how to bet the dogs when we had the dog track going out on Volusia there. You know, he would go place my bets. He taught me how to read the line and stuff like that. So everything I learned wasn't really on the up and up from that standpoint, but it was sort of neat to be part of in that. And, you know, I guess, you know, I'm going to try and get down there because I want to see the decor that you've got. I think it's going to be awesome. Plus, I want to hear Meredith sing because I've heard her before, and she is really a great local talent for us.
Yes,
And,
she is.
and you know, hey, listen, to get your picture taken with Betty Boops, how good could that be? You know, that's an awesome thing to be able to do as well.
It is, yes. It's going to be a lot of fun, yeah. So I'm glad you're coming down, and I can't wait to meet you.
So once again, I want to just review for people that this is the Daytona Diner. It's located at the Castaways Condos is what it's called now, at 2043 South Atlantic in Daytona Beach Shores. It's open daily from 7 to 3. They serve breakfast all day long, and then they start lunch at 11 o'clock. And you're going to have Betty Boop there. You're going to have Elvis impersonator there. You're going to have Meredith there. You have door prizes. You're going to start in the morning at 8 o'clock with a pancake eating contest with a $50 first prize for the person who eats the most pancakes. And then it's going to be on the 26th is your ribbon cutting, and the 28th is when all this stuff goes on. That's a Saturday. And I think I've pretty much hit it all. Now, you've been the owner for 6 years. Did you know the owners before? Did you buy? Because I know she passed away of cancer, I believe.
I worked for, it was Melanie Eve. It was Melanie and Bill Eve, and I worked for Melanie during a bike event. And then when she got sick, I worked again. She wasn't able to work, and I worked the register. And then she never came back to the diner. And so her husband, he had another job, and he couldn't be there. full time. So he had, asked me to manage, which I did, and then I just bought into it. And we were partners for about 4 years. And then, when everything closed up over there, we found this location. And then Bill had just decided, he'd had enough of the diner, and he was going to, just go on to other things. So my sister bought in with me. So her and I, we own it. And one more thing I'd like to say is we are right on the beach. So you can sit and have breakfast and look at the ocean. We have outside seating and inside seating.
Well, I told you about my experience with that kind of my brother and his friend Tony Mellacrino, who was a coach at Mainland High School back in the day. During the summer, they ran a place called the Monkey Hut, which was in Bud Asher's Safari Beach Motel. And I used to be, at that time I was like 9 or 10 years old. My brother would wake me up, during the summer. You never want to get woken up at 5:30, but they would open at 6. So he'd wake me up at 5:30 and carry me down there and have me wash dishes, and always would find a way to fire me right after the breakfast lunch. And I'd go out by the pool, and he'd always manage to come back and hire me right before the lunch rush, so I could watch the lunch things. I wasn't the smartest blade in the drawer, I guess, with that kind of stuff, because that went on for a couple months during the summer. But, I figured I had to work for my brother and do a good job for him.
Sure, yeah, that's funny.
But that's really neat to be able to sit right there. And I'm not knocking any place else, but, you go someplace like the Shores Resort that's further down in Daytona Beach Shores, or you go to like the Hilton or something like that, that's a pretty high price ticket to have breakfast. And I would assume because you're a 50s diner, you have pretty reasonable prices from the standpoint of your omelets and their things of that nature. Can you give us a ballpark on that?
Like our omelets, like a meat and cheese omelet is about, it's $7.95.
That's a very good price.
And that comes with home fries, hash browns, or grits, toast or biscuit. So, we're very reasonable on it.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
And also we have, like the blue plate specials. Joe is always, every day, he's cooking something new. Yesterday on Thursdays, it's roasted turkey. So he gets here at 5. He puts the turkey in the oven in a brown paper bag, cooks it all morning, and then slices it, and that's served with homemade stuffing, homemade mashed potatoes, gravy. And then he does like other daily specials, shepherd's pie, chicken pot pie, turkey pot pie. We always have something that's homemade. Everything here is homemade, all the soups and everything. And he really takes a lot of pride in his food. And I have to say, we don't have any complaints. People are walking out of here, and they're coming back. If we can get them in once, we can get them to come back.
Yeah.
It's a good place.
Well, listen, the blue plate special brings up bad memories to me, because I can still remember that Monday was the open-faced roast beef sandwich with gravy and mashed potatoes. Tuesday was a Salisbury steak and meatloaf. Wednesday was fried shrimp. Thursday was spaghetti and meat sauce. Friday was a 6 fried shrimp dinner. So I still remember those specials my mom used to have. And I remember during one time I felt so bad for her working so hard that I turned her alarm off, and I got up early in the morning and went down to the restaurant and opened up for her. She was so furious at me because I'd gone and opened up, and she was yelling, "Who's going to make the meatloaf today?" And I said, "Mom, it's already made. It's in the oven. It's right there." She looked at me. You could tell she was sort of proud because I'd done it right and it tasted good when she tasted it. But she looked at me like, "If you ever do this again, I'm going to break your fingers. You turn off my alarm."
Well, anytime you want to make meatloaf, honey, you just come right down here, and I bet Joe would let you make it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to meeting you in person, Linda, and hopefully we'll have you on next Friday as well with us in the first half hour of the show, because we've got Dr. Fahn on the second half hour. But I'd love to have you back so we can just remind people, because these are things that continue the Daytona tradition. That's why I had Skip Lowry on with us today, because Skip's new book, I think, really has a great tend to it from the standpoint of the community. And I might even talk to Skip and see if he gets hold of you, and maybe he can come down there and sell some of his books for the benefit of the Historical Society, because it does talk about the things that you're causing us and having us remember when you have the decor that you have. And I know it's going to be awesome, because Stacia did my house. She helped me remodel it and stuff, and man, everybody goes into it and says it's just beautiful the way she did it. So great, best of luck to you on that, and I hope you have a line out the door that goes around the building come next week.
Thank you.
All right, Linda. God bless.
All right, and I look forward to talking with you next week.
Sounds great. Thank you. All right, Dave. That was a neat little thing there. And again, we go back to nostalgia in this area, and that Castaways has such a nostalgic history to us. Maybe not as much as the Sea Dip or some other places in the area, but that's pretty much a really cool kind of concept to be able to go back, and it kicks us back to the 50s and that. So, Dave, I know we've got to take a break, I think, for station identification and that. I want to remind people that we haven't been too much on the fitness. I gave some hints for keeping fitness convenient in your program. Remember to wake up early, get up 30 minutes early and take a walk, or come to the club. Remember the story of the 5 people I told you this week that said, it's been such a hectic day, I can't get in and out. And I said, we'll get you in and out in 12 minutes. And their card was ready when they walked in the door. We did a 6-machine workout. We really worked them a good, hard, brisk workout. Do chores like, the physical things like scrub the bathtub, mop the floor, get other housekeeping chores out of the way, pick up sticks in the yard type of thing. Be active while you're watching TV. Maybe you can't do push-ups and sit-ups, but you know what? You can walk in place and pick your knees up really high. That's a real simple thing to do, and especially for older people, it's a great thing to do to keep that range of motion of your hip flexors working so that you don't cut down your gait and your stride length. And then involve your family, play catch, take a group walk, ride your bike together, walk your dog. Those are little things that you can do to keep fitness at the forefront, because we're in an age now where with healthcare and that, we are going to need to keep better care of ourselves. In order to do that, how about a short-term membership to see the body's difference? You can start your membership for $5. $5 today will start your membership. Your first month dues will be $39.50. It'll be on July 10th. You'll pay $39.50 on July 10th, August 10th, and September 10th for your dues. There is a $20 card fee, so our tracking method can stay in place. But that's a discounted membership. It allows you to see a very short term what 12 weeks of working out can do for your body's personalized fitness. 672-6464 to set up your appointment. And we look forward to having you come in and show you the body's difference. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, and we'll have a good time with talking about the quarterback club, hopefully.
Just as a building's foundation is critical to the structural health of that building, your shoes provide a critical foundation for your healthy and happy life. Hello, this is Russell Dotson of Dale's Shoes in Daytona Beach. And yes, it really does matter where you buy your shoes. Since 1976, Dale's Shoes in Podorthix has provided the best in customer service while offering the widest selection of shoes. Dale's highly trained staff will find the perfect fit and style with the widest selection of sizes and widths. Dale's has the largest selection of diabetic and arthritic footwear and accepts Medicare, Florida Healthcare, and Humana Insurance. Stop by anytime. We're proud of our store and proud of the service we provide. Dale's Shoes in Podorthix, 2595 West International Speedway Boulevard in Daytona Beach. You can call us at 386-252-2138.
It's summertime, sunshine, beaches, family gatherings, bathing suits, shorts. What? You're not ready for that? Well, I have great news for you, your body, and your self-image. It's a summer of supervised fitness for only $199, $99 for students. Re-energize your body and life today with the Body Steam. You'll get supervised workouts and the all-new Fitness on Demand system. You can choose the class you want when you want it with the country's best instructors, plus our new boot camp. Get unlimited supervised exercise and classes till September 10th to lose fat, drop inches, and increase your energy. Call now, 672-6464. That's 672-6464. What's it going to be? Hide inside, bored, or look great and feel great in whatever outfit you want? Make your appointment today, 672-6464, for a fantastic summer of fun and fitness. Call Bodez today at 672-6464 to uplift your attitude, energize your life, and transform your bodies with the summer shape-up at Bodez by Tasso & Company.
Call 239-0033 for Fitness Friday and your host, Tasso Kyriakis. Here's Tasso.
All right, welcome back to Fitness Friday, Dave, and all our listeners out there have had a great start to the show. Skip Lowry with the Ormond Boy Midlife Memoirs, and then talking about the grand opening of the Daytona Diner down in Daytona Beach Shores. And someone I'm very proud of, this is my nephew who is going to be the captain of the quarterback club, and I'm happy to have him join us. John, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Toss.
Well, you couldn't be with us. You couldn't be with us last week because you were over hobnobbing with the important people and playing that celebrity golf tournament with your friend Doug Johnson.
It was a fishing tournament, Toss, and I apologize for that.
Oh, a fishing tournament. I thought you were playing golf. See?
You know, as a fishing tournament.
It's just one thing to another you get to go to. You know, it's all that stardom. So, John.
Actually, Doug has a very, I mean, just to plug his event there, it's a very successful, everything he raises is for the Boys and Girls Club of Alachua County. He's raised right at $1 million now, and I think this year was his 10th annual, and right at $1 million for the Boys and Girls Club of Alachua County. So they're very, very successful. I try to support those guys as much as I can over there.
That's a neat thing, and I'm glad to hear that. And so, you know, John, we're getting closer to the thing, and a lot of excitement starting to kick in about the quarterback club this year. You know, it's been a sort of a nostalgic day. We've talked about, you know, the early years of Ormond Beach and Daytona with Skip's book, and now the Daytona Diner, which is a tradition for the last 20 years around here. But the quarterback club has been going for 67 years, and, you know, does things like award high school athletes, you know, recognition for the things they do. You were one of those recipients when you were in high school, and there's a lot of those guys who are members of it. Tell us a little bit about the speakers that we're going to have for quarterback club this year.
It's actually it's something I'm very excited about and very proud about. We have, you know, a speaker committee that I've kind of worked with in utilizing some of my contacts to get some of the really good speakers this year. You know, I know we talked about some of them in the last couple of weeks, but Lou Holtz, Jesse Palmer, Chipper Jones, Tommy Bowden, Lee Corso, just going off my memory here. Will Muschamp, we're trying to make the scheduling work with him, which I believe is going to work out. But who else do we have? Tony Barnhart. I mean, it's just it is unbelievable what our members are going to get to experience this year. It really is, and not just our members. Myself, I'm excited about it. I mean, it's one of those things that it's unreal. It's to be able to witness, you know, those guys. And I don't know that I'll ever have a chance to witness Lou Holtz speak in my life in live in person ever again. Someone like that, or a Jesse Palmer, or, you know, or some of those guys. And you know, we threw in Chipper there. It's a quarterback club, and he's a baseball player, but we have the opportunity to have a Hall of Fame baseball player come speak to us, and you know, those guys are, especially Chipper. You know, he's not opposed to signing some autographs and some things like that.
Well, that's one thing that I know that you've talked to the speakers about this year is that, you know, we're going to have some relationships with places like the Oyster Pub and places like that, and hopefully Hooligans as always, and we're going to be able to go after our meetings to local sports places to go in and watch the game, because that's the one thing we like to be out in time to watch the Monday night game. And you've actually asked some of the speakers to come along with us. You know, I remember one of the funnest nights I had was the night that Ron Zook went to Hooligans with us afterwards, and to sort of sit there and just chat with these people. And some of those guys are going to have committed to doing that, and it'll be a lot of fun to do that with.
Oh yeah. After, it's always obviously the meetings are on Monday night, so you have Monday night football immediately following the meeting. So we always usually reconvene. You know, a pretty decent sized group. Reconvene somewhere at one of the local establishments, and you know, I've talked to some of the guest speakers who are willing to come and say, hey, you know, I'll watch half the game with you, and you know, before I go to bed, and grab a beer and some wings or whatever it may be. But yeah, that is, to get that personal experience with those guys is really something to be said about that. And it's pretty generous of those guys to share their time with us, not only you know, speaking to us, but actually spending time with some of the guys who are interested in going afterwards to catch some Monday Night Football.
And you know, sort of the interesting thing is, you know, Lou Holtz is, if you were to sign Lou Holtz for a speaking engagement, and this is back 10 years ago, I remember Ursa had him, who was our professional organization. They paid $25,000 to have him speak for 35 minutes. You know, to see a speaker of that quality is unbelievable. And, you know, the dues for the quarterback club for 10 meetings that include your dinner is only $385. So to be able to have a situation like that, and, you know, we already know the interest is very high. We have a cap on the limit of 300 members to the quarterback club. We'll be reestablishing our waiting list. So people who want to get involved with it, they can call me at 672-6464. They can call you at your office. You might want to give them a number. So we can get them the application. There's several people out in the community that are helping us with that. You know, I have a lady that works next door, and she has overheard. This news has gotten to her. Her name's Mary Greenland. She works for Oliveri, and she is so jealous about this speaker's lineup. She said, well, you guys don't allow girls. I said, no, that's not true, Mary. I said, we've had girls in the quarterback club before. I said, and she says, well, I really want to see Lou Holtz. And I said, I said, you get 10 people to join. I'll make sure you're sitting at Lou Holtz's table. She, oh, that's easy to do. My friends are going to join that place. So she got these 10 guys that she's got them lined up and ready to go. But that's the kind of reception I'm getting to this.
Yeah, Toss, it's actually amazing, and I think the quarterback club for the longest time has been kind of we never really outreached for new members, and a lot of the quarterback clubs around the state have kind of gone by the wayside because they've just kind of never been proactive in firing up the membership again. You have people that pass away and members that that don't continue on for one reason or another. So what we're doing this year is really trying to give the quarterback club a shot in the arm. The reception is unbelievable. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be over the cap, and we're going to get to where we have a waiting list again. So I urge anybody that's interested in joining to join as quickly as possible, because our bylaws kind of make us demand that we have a cap of 300 members, right. And after 300, we cannot let another member in. And obviously we're sticking by that. We don't have a choice in the right. matter. So, like I said, I would encourage anybody and everybody who's interested in to make sure that obviously past members already have a spot reserved, but any future members, I would get in as quickly as possible, because it's really on a first come, first served basis. Until that waiting list begins again.
Yeah, and we have a great venue at the Plaza Motel. It's centrally located, easy to get to, great parking, great facilities there, great food when we were there in the past, and yep. I think we're going to see a big crowd, and it's going to be neat to see and neat to go to, and we invite you to get involved with it. If you like football, you'll like this. It's every level: high school football, college coaches, college athletes. George Leary is going to be there. It's one of the ones we didn't mention.
Correct, George Leary. I forgot about him.
And we've got a nice thing of past pro football players, coaches, guys who will tell stories from the locker room, and people that will give us inspirational messages. So I hope people get going. I know I've got about 30 seconds. So once again, my number is 672-6464. John, do you have a number they can call you at if they want to join through you?
872-3440, or the website is currently under construction, but it's DaytonaQBClub.com, and there'll be applications on there. The website should be done maybe this afternoon, if not right. For sure by Monday. So we just every year we have to do some updates to it to change information from the previous year, and that's being done currently. But like I said,
and for people that don't know it, this $385 for the 10 meetings, that waived for new members a $100 application fee this year, so we get the interest in there. God bless, John. Thank you very much for joining us. Everybody, hope you had a great enjoyed the show today, Fitness Friday. Give us a call at Bodez Personalized Fitness for the summer hot body shape-up.
Daytona's news, Daytona's weather, and Daytona's traffic can only be found on Daytona's morning news station, AM 1150 WNDB, Daytona Beach.